Welcome back to another tutorial on Do-It-Yourself Easy. Today, we'll explore how to fill out a two-dimensional table using SUMIFS and INDEX-MATCH. These are two incredibly powerful tools in Excel that can simplify data analysis and save you time. Let's start by getting familiar with the data we're working with. Here, we have sales data for employees across stores A, B, and C, covering the years 2018 to 2023. In column F and G, we've calculated the total sales and average sales for each worker. If you look to the right, there's a simplified version of this data. Our goal is to consolidate the yearly sales for each worker into this single table. Let's walk through how to achieve that. Before we get started, to make things easier as we work through the data, we'll create a drop-down menu for selecting workers. This involves setting up data validation. First, we'll copy all the names in column A and paste them into a separate worksheet labeled Data Validation. Then, we'll remove any duplicates by going to the Data tab, selecting Remove Duplicates, and pressing OK. Once that's done, we'll return to our main worksheet. In cell K2, we'll create a drop-down menu. To do this, go to the Data tab, select Data Validation, and choose List from the options. Then, in the source field, select the cleaned list of names from the Data Validation worksheet and press OK. Now we have a drop-down menu where we can easily select any worker. With that set up, let's move on to creating the SUMIFS formula. We'll type it into cell L6 and build it step by step. The first thing Excel needs to know is which values to sum. This is our sum range, located in column C. We select the entire column and add a comma. Next, we need to specify where Excel will check for the first condition, the year. This is found in column B, so we select that column and lock it by pressing F4. Then we add another comma and specify the year we're working with, which is in cell K6. To ensure the formula works when dragged across the table, we lock just the column by pressing F4 3 times. Now we move to the second condition, which checks for the worker's name. The names are in column A, so we select the column and lock it completely with F4. Finally, the worker's name comes from cell K2, and we lock completely the column here as well. So basically, what we are doing here is when both conditions match those ranges and therefore they are true, the SUMIFS will sum the values that match those conditions. Once all the parameters are in place, we close the formula with a parenthesis and press Enter. To complete the table, simply drag the formula across all the cells. Notice how the data updates when you change the name in cell K2. The table now shows the yearly sales for the selected worker. Now that we've explored how to use SUMIFS in a two-dimensional table, it's time to move on to INDEX-MATCH. This approach is slightly more advanced but offers greater flexibility for complex scenarios. Let's dive into that next. To speed up the process, I've already created our list of names in cell K2 for our INDEX-MATCH set. Start by typing in cell L6 equal index open parentheses. This is where we'll begin to set up the array from which we want to find our values, based on the rows and columns we've specified. For the first condition, select the range from cell C2 to G55 and fix it by pressing F4. Then press comma, and now we need to define the row criteria. Since we have multiple conditions for the rows, we'll use the match function. Match will help us determine how many rows to move down based on our criteria. Type match and open parentheses. Normally, when using match by itself, you'd select a value that you are looking for. But in this case, we would like to find the first position in the array where the rows meet both conditions and their multiplication. The return array one, which means true. Therefore, we must add 1. This is a very common way to perform conditional lookups with INDEX-MATCH. So press comma, and now we'll set our condition. The first condition checks if the year in column B matches the year in cell K6. Be sure not to select the headers and fix the column B completely, and fix the K6 by pressing F4 3 times, just to lock the columns since I want the formula to move down once I drag it. Close the parentheses and use an asterisk symbol to indicate an AND condition. Next, inside the parentheses, Check if the name in column A matches the name in K2, again fixing both values by pressing F4. Press comma and type 0 since we want an exact match. This formula will then move down based on these criteria. Now press comma again to define the column criteria, which refers to the stores. Since we have only one condition here, we can use match as we typically would. Type match open parentheses, and for the lookup value, select the store name. Lock the row by pressing F4 once and make the column dynamic by pressing F4 twice. Press comma and set the array to be C1 to G1, fixing it completely. Then press comma and type 0 for an exact match. Now close the parentheses twice, and we're done. You can now drag the formula across the table to apply it. As you can see, SUMIFS is simpler and works well for summing values based on one or more criteria. However, INDEX-MATCH is more powerful, allowing for multiple conditions across different rows and columns. While SUMIFS is limited to summing or counting, INDEX-MATCH can retrieve specific values based on complex criteria, making it ideal for situations where multiple conditions need to be considered. It's especially useful when dealing with data that requires matching values across multiple dimensions, something SUMIFS can't handle as easily. Just keep in mind, this is just a comparison and there are many other ways how to use this formula. This just a specific example for two-dimension table. An even index match can be used in this example differently, which we can explore in further video. If you are just starting to learn this type of formulas, you can also find on internet how to make two-dimensional tables with XLOOKUP. I hope this video helped you somehow. If you like this video, please hit like and share to people to support my channel. And if you want to see similar content in the future, do not forget to subscribe. See you next time.